Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Mastering Runeterra Squadcast. I'm MonteXristo, and today I'm joined by CardGamer, Prodigy, Phansora, and we have a new guest on the desk today. We're joined by Ashe, 2 times EMEA seasonal top 32 qualifier. Ashe, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks for inviting me, guys. Yeah, I've been kind of annoying CardGamer and Monte about this for like a while now because I really wanted to try an LR podcast because I come from a Yu-Gi-Oh background and there I did like a podcast every week. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I'm interested to see how this goes.
Thanks for joining us. So guys, this week ladders changed. There was a bunch of random stuff going on last week. People were figuring out Kaisa. Zillion was still kind of in the meta. Prodigy, you hit rank 1 with that deck, and then this week, bam, it is a completely different field out there. We have the rise of Bard Illaoi. Riptide Sermon, that card made that deck so much better. The changes to Bard, letting him actually level with the tentacles and whatnot, all of that has gone into making this deck so much better than it was. The meta shifted in a way that is favorable for it. It's so powerful. And on the flip side, we have Kaisa. People have figured out the Kaisa builds now. People know what they're doing with Kaisa. That deck has also become a terrible menace on the ladder. And of course, Irelia Azir also around. The SHURIMAN Desert has returned to us with a vengeance. Guys, how do you feel about the current ladder environment? What have you been playing? How do you feel about it? Like, what's going on?
I mean, I think some people that are on Twitter might have seen the screenshot. It was the top 8 of the leaderboard, and it was just all Bard Illaoi, in Americas at least. And I can attest to that. In most games are mirrors, people really trying hard to target Bard Illaoi, coming up kind of short still, or like Kaisa decks trying to race, because that's like kind of a 50-50 matchup. So it's kind of crazy. I will say the Bard Illaoi mirrors are actually pretty skill intensive though, and they're pretty fun. So I don't mind playing.
Do you think so? I feel like they kind of do, like, they're just kind of do nothing. Like, do something, you do stuff until something happens, and then the game just breaks one way or another.
So I played one of my twice, and I got absolutely rolled, and I had to reconsider the entire way I played the matchup.
Okay.
Basically, you have your Illaoi, and you just hold it in your hand until it gets to until it eats like 8 or 9 chimes.
Yeah.
Until it's and then you play it.
Okay.
And it's kind of just a back and forth and a waiting game. And then you play for lots of little chip damage, and then eventually you basically calculate, because there's not much interaction, you calculate out your lethal, and then you go for lethal in one big swing. With either a rally or just like a big Illaoi with Overwhelm. And then your elusives are also really big. So you hold those in your hand until they get elusive, and then you try to push damage that way. And you don't let tentacles get out of control. So you make sure you can always deal with their tentacle if Illaoi comes down. It's surprisingly skill intensive. I've been winning most of them now that I've figured it out. I've only lost 1 or 2 after I lost one of mine and got clapped. Yeah.
It's good info.
What do you do if you fall behind on the tentacle early? Like, I'm not a Bard Illaoi player, but I've heard people talk about the mirror and say you can get major 1-drop diff. Like sometimes someone plays idle on 1, or God forbid idle on 1, idle on 2, and then it's the tentacle is just bigger the entire game, and it's so hard to claw back from that.
Yeah,
I would imagine you have to get vulnerable on it at that point and just kind of play around it, right?
Yeah, so you have to obviously block it at some point. If they go in with it, you block it, and then you try to get it down to a point where you can deal with it. So your thresholds are kind of 4 damage with your Riptide Sermon is the best way you want to kill it, and then obviously you can always trade tentacles. But otherwise, you pretty much have to get vulnerable and just go after it, and hope they don't have Illaoi in the meantime.
That makes sense. You can go.
No, I was gonna talk about a different deck. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Prodigy is the first person I've heard say that this mirror match is not just a draw diff. And it's interesting hearing holding Illaoi makes a lot of sense. Because
I definitely don't think it's a draw
feels
diff.
a lot like the Pantheon mirror, but the spell shield that Pantheon gets you is the extra chimes on Illaoi, which is why you want to hold Illaoi, because it's so hard for them to get rid of a big unit. So it makes sense.
And it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy for them to get rid of, for you to kill Illaoi on your turn, right? Because they attack in, their Illaoi's at like, let's say it got one chime, right? It's a 2/7. They come in. Their Illaoi's the biggest unit. You play your vulnerable guy, give it vulnerable, and then you kill it on your turn. You open attack, get a nice value trade, and then you slam it for the rest. And then you've just like killed their Illaoi. So yeah, it's actually like pretty easy to tell when someone's not experienced in the matchup.
Hey, there's Santa. Welcome. Yeah, no, I definitely didn't feel like that matchup was draw difference the couple times I played it on ladder today, but I just felt like it was a lot of do nothing until the game breaks one way or another. I didn't feel like I had a lot of agency over that. I just felt like it was either I kept my cards properly and like I held them like you said, Prodigy, and I played the tentacle minigame properly and my opponent didn't know what they were doing, or both of us kind of knew what we were doing and then we just kind of sat around and oops, it fell this way. Which I didn't really feel was draw diff because our draws were kind of the same across every game I played, so I don't really know how to like categorize that differently, you know?
Yeah, I would say like the levels of the mind game is like, so there's like you versus like a player doesn't know what they're doing, right? And you can like win that way, and then you against another player who knows what they're doing. You actually like mulligan differently, because like all of a sudden you're like not keeping any of your 1-drops. Like I'm throwing my bird, I'm throwing my 2-drop, like all of it's getting thrown back into the deck except like the idol. Like I'm keeping the idol and everything else is gone. And then like you actually like are like considering like keeping Bard. Like Bard's actually a really good card in the mirror because like if you flip him, then they have to like answer him in some way. And like
Bard's spell is also huge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bard level is like absolutely massive in the mirror. And so it, like all of a sudden like the way you mulligan actually changes when you're playing against like another good player. Like when I play What Am I, I'm gonna mulligan differently than I'm like playing someone else, because he understands how the matchup works, and so he's not gonna go for this like crazy cheese, and so I don't need to be like as ready for the cheese strategy. Versus like another player, I'm like looking for tentacle slam, looking for all these like ways to like answer their Illaoi, because I know like they're just gonna go for the cheese, and if it doesn't work, I'm gonna win the game pretty easily. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. And I think a lot of mirrors end up boiling down to that once both players kind of understand how things are supposed to go in the mirror. Like a lot of decks can just play in a way, especially right now, but it's been the case throughout time, where a lot of decks can play in this way where they just have like this really strong and oppressive finish that you can just go for and kind of like blow the game open. But in a mirror match, since both decks have the tools to do that and kind of have the tools to deal with it in a sense, these mirrors end up just coming down to games of attrition, right? So I think almost every mirror match, with the exception of a handful, comes down to just like keeping the highest value cards within reason and just like playing the bigger thing, getting one more card on them. And I think if we go back through time, matchups like the Tri-Beam mirror is a great example of this. Where it's just like the just one more card. Like at the end of the day, it isn't so much about Draven and Tri-Beam. It is about that, but it's a lot about what cards can I have that say +1 on them. And I think you can boil down a lot of mirrors to that.
Anybody else got anything to add on about Bard Illaoi? Anybody else had the opportunity to play the deck much? Anybody got thoughts on what you would pair it with in a lineup? Because I think right now, Bard Illaoi and Jayce Heimer is like a really, really solid starting place for a lot of lineups. At least looking at the stats, that's what I came up with today when I was boiling down stuff for my articles.
What makes you think it pairs well with Heimer Jayce? Is it just like the matchup tables, or
the tables just lined up similarly enough that it was convenient to put them together. I don't remember exactly what deck it was because, you know, when you're spending all day looking at different tables and whatever, they all kind of blur and you lose the exact numbers. But I do remember that was like the one lineup I found that made a good bit of sense in the current metagame. You throw Bard Illaoi together with Jayce Heimer, and then your third dex is whatever you want, really.
I'm definitely working on. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that almost seems just like a best decks lineup, where you're playing, like, Jayce Heimer, it only loses to, like, a couple of things. It beats all of, like, the bad and mid decks, and then Bard Illaoi is shaping up to be the same thing, it seems.
Yeah, it's very true. It feels very hard to come up with like a deck that actually beats Bard Illaoi. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Like Ari Bard beats Bard Illaoi, but Ari Bard is shit. So like, what are you supposed to do?
Not much. Aggro doesn't beat it. I was losing to it with the Jin earlier. Just get rolled. Like, Nightfall kind of doesn't do super well into it. Played that matchup a bunch on stream today. I think I'm positive, but I don't think that's because the matchup's good. Honestly, looking at the stats,
So,
I couldn't find a
is
whole
it
lot that was
not-
doing well into it.
Yeah,
so
is
I
it
can
not,
give
like,
you a couple
failure stuff?
counters.
Ashe Leblanc.
Yeah, so Ashe LeBlanc, Ezreal Kennen.
You're not playing Ezreal. Don't play Ezreal Kennen.
Sure.
No,
That's a little suspicious.
So welcome to Masters Ladder, where everyone is going out of the... Because, like, over half the meta is Bard Illaoi. The other half the players are going to the absolute fringes of the metagame to find counters. So Ashe LeBlanc is popping up. And the TF Annie is now cutting Annie, because it's bad on a Tentacle Slam. And they're running... So Hanzo's playing multiple Calling Strikes and Katarina instead.
Yeah.
And then you've got Ezreal Kennen, which absolutely runs you over. Like, Ezreal Kennen is, like, unwinnable. But it's also probably not a great deck if you don't run into
TF Annie
Illaoi.
does beat Illaoi
I wonder.
mostly.
TF Annie is a
Mostly.
very good deck for the matchup, I think.
TF Annie's like 53%.
I'm running like a
I don't think
it's
it
like
was that
matchup.
matchup.
a lot of draw, double. What's the card called? Scorched Earth.
Okay.
And like a lot of like you drop a threat, I kill your threat until I can just play
I've been
Rex.
running Santa's version.
It's great.
It's been doing well. The Scorched Earth has been pretty good. I definitely think that if you want to tech it more, the swapping out Annie for Katarina or Construct sounds good. Because Annie's not crucial in those matchups. Neither champion is, to be honest. But yeah, they Disintegrate and Scorch. Yeah, you can like Illaoi plays out. I think even if you're doing how you're doing, so like most people they're playing Illaoi in 4. You're saying that like maybe that's not how you want to play, but like at least for this matchup, if people are just throwing out their units as soon as possible, you can keep up with them just about.
Yes, they
Well,
should.
the nice-
Yeah, they should definitely not be
It's
doing
just
that.
like even if they're like holding everything to try and get you on like a big turn, all I have to do is pretty much hold Twisted Fate in my hand. And like the second you play out your big board, I just red card it, and then there's like Disintegrates and Scorched and Flocks, and like everything I have is so cheap on removal that it's super difficult for them to do anything about it.
The one way that the matchup has felt tough is when they have multiple Esmuses with like a few chimes on them, and the little bits of elusive.
That's
get
how
through
you
to
do it.
Because Illaoi, you're happy spending Ping Scorch, Ping, or Disintegrate on Illaoi. You don't want to do that on a 2/4 Esmus. That feels like a waste. But over
Or a
time,
hired
adding
gun.
up-
At
Yeah.
least Esmus
Now-
is elusive. Hired gun, like hits one chime, becomes a 3/4. You suddenly can't kill that card. It's ridiculous.
No, but that's fine. You can block. You can block hired gun down. You can kill him. with the
Eventually, you
fusion.
run out. It's weird because they keep tagging it with Esmus and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they also keep drawing cards. There have been a lot of spots from the NETF side of the matchup that I've been on where you can do the thing where you run them out of cards and then they just get bailed out by an Iron Nagagaburos, and because they have so many chimes in their deck at that point, they just draw a shitter, but it has like 3 chimes and like the deck can't like deal with that. It's really high pressure.
I don't know if that's necessarily the problem because hopefully that by that point you also have a Tibble you've played, and so hopefully you're
sure.
fine. But I think
Hopefully
it's
you're
like those,
clocking them, but yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
so
not
the
turn
way-
4. Like turn 4, you can answer the big turn 4 fetch. You can answer Seize Voice on card. You can answer Illaoi on card. It's like turn 6, 7, where they're playing the second and third copies of their big threats, where you're starting to run low. You can't necessarily afford to play draw sometimes. If they just are going to slam 10 power on the board and attack you, you just took 10 damage. So it's like those like in between turns, like between when they're first playing their threats and when you're trying to get Tibble online, where they're trying to play multiple threats a turn.
And so the way the Bard Illaoi player navigates this, it makes it really hard for them, is you basically hold a bunch of 2-cost units and you let them get a bunch of chimes. And then you like keep like trading on the board, and then you're like, oops, surprise, I have like 10 power of elusives, like, can you deal with it? Oh, also I have a rally. You're dead. Like, and like Like that's how you win. Like you don't you play these threats like you play your Bard, and Bard's like a real threat because he just like buffs up everything, right?
Yeah.
And so you play your Bard and you play your Illaoi, you force their removal. They only have so many disintegrates and like stuff, and meanwhile you're just like you're selectively holding 2 or 3 cards that you're letting get really big, and then all of a sudden you like play 2 big threats with a rally and you kill them, and they like can't answer because you play your big 4-cost Illaoi. They have to go kill it. And then you're like, oh, by the way, here's like a 6-power elusive that's going to hit you twice.
The rally hasn't actually been a big problem from my point of view, because it's so much mana to hold up on their side that as long as I can like keep the board within certain points, like if they're on like 7 mana and they have a like not threatening board at all, I know that even if they play 2-drop into rally, I don't care. I can tap out at these like certain breakpoints because I know they're even if they rally, it's not good for them. So the rally hasn't been the issue. It's been those like middle-sized beatdowns.
Also, if they go really wide, it gets rough.
I will say, like,
if they have like the double
wide.
bird, double Esmus opener, that's hard to deal with.
Yeah. Like I'm more scared of them going like 2-2-1 and then attacking the following turn as opposed to rallying this turn. It's more scary than just multiple 2 or 3 attack first.
One thing I will say is I would imagine that you guys are getting a lot of points right now from people not fully understanding how they can pace themselves on Bard Illaoi. This has kind of been an issue whenever I've seen anyone play Illaoi, where if they're not like an experienced Illaoi player and they don't really understand the deck, they kind of just end up like slamming things really fast and playing the deck at a way faster pace than it needs to be played in most matchups. And if you really take your time and like chill out, you kind of do things more on your terms. You can make even passes awkward for your opponent potentially, and you kind of let Bard do his thing. The deck becomes a lot more powerful, and especially in matchups like the Flock matchups, where it's like you just start playing units at these really awkward breakpoints where it's hard for them to remove. And like I 100% believe you guys when you say like Flock should win, because when things line up for the Flock deck, it is going to answer everything really handedly and be happy. But like Flock decks, especially nowadays, are notorious for just like wrong half of the deck syndrome. And if you hit that for 1 turn against Illaoi, especially like later in the game Illaoi, where they hit chimes and they like can make a board of really incredible stats really fast, I think it's a recipe for disaster. And the matchup isn't as good as you would think.
Yeah, I think Flocks alone probably don't beat Bard, but Flocks plus Scorched plus a whole bunch of other stuff maybe beats Bard.
If people start playing culling, also
the culling is what's breaking the matchup.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. 3 mana kill target Illaoi is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But then again, like Prodigy said, you hold Illaoi until she gets
I actually
5 or 6 chimes on her, and
Strike
suddenly it's a
great.
very different
I also
game.
want to say you can't play that slow against TF Annie. Like it's controlling the board.
Why not?
It depends if they have a landmark
Oh,
down.
you get clocked
But
by
if
that
you,
deck more than
like,
you think. Yeah.
its opening turns can be
yeah.
really aggro, and like even if they're not, if I get to play a Tibble and then I get to Rex you on 8, like suddenly you're just dying from burn out of my hand. Like I'm just shooting you in the face.
Yeah.
I don't even care about removing your, like you can play a 20-20 Illaoi and I'm just going to hit you in the face.
You can't take forever, but you don't need to play Illaoi on 4. And like I can't tell you how many people you watch them play Illaoi and they just go like, alright, I'm playing mid-range beatdown, curve out. If they have it, they have it.
TF Annie always has it. They just always have it.
They always have it.
Dude, it's
They have
so
every card. They have so much draw.
I like
Of
feel
course, they
bad
always
playing
have
the
it.
deck sometimes because it's like I like tap down to like 2 mana and they're like, okay, I'm gonna develop, and then you just dagger flock their unit and they're like, okay, man, like come on.
No one plays around it. It's like,
This might be a hot take, but I actually hate playing against like TF Annie more than I hate playing
TF
against
Annie's
any other deck in the game
super
right now.
annoying.
And it's
Yeah.
not even close.
It's kind of annoying. That deck, like Santa was saying, it could just swarm out and like be this super aggro deck in the early game sometimes, and then you're like, I don't have enough units to chump this. I don't have ping spells. Like, I'm the aggro deck. Why am I getting swarmed by a 6-wide board? What the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
And then, like, they just play Tibalt, and suddenly you're at 15 HP, and you're like, okay, I'm, like, fine here, right? But then you take a trade down to stop their 6-wide board on turn 8 that you've been ignoring the whole game, and suddenly they hit you with the Rex, and you're like, oh, I'm just dead.
I think probably one of the worst things is, like, I know I haven't played the opposite side because I've been playing TFNing, but just the pause I get from people when it's like turn 8, they play some slow spell, and I play Dagger on the stack, so I can immediately wreck next turn, and they just pause, realizing what's about to come. It's got to be the worst feeling.
If you want to win the mirror, all you gotta do is wait for them to try and trigger their Rex, and then trigger your Rex on the stack. And then you get to Rex before they can because Prio passes. And then you just win. It's great.
Right.
Prio abuse.
Oh my god.
For the record, I still think that deck is
weird-
awful.
So,
I was about to say, after all is said and
think it's
done,
a bad
most good
deck.
players
So
I know
I-
still think that deck is
I'm
bad.
like one of the
It's
OGs.
really funny.
Here's
who,
the
like,
thing with
I'm
TFA.
like, okay, so like I'm one of the OGs who really, really like the deck. Like I played it a ton last season, and I think it suffers from, like, I think it's just genuinely really, really difficult to play, and I think it's also
Yes, I'll
really
agree
well
with that.
positioned
Yes.
right now, like specifically.
And I still think it's bad.
It's like, so the thing with the deck is, like, it's easiest to play when your opponent is just doing their own thing and not caring about what they're doing, because they're setting the clock, right, and then you just try to play to keep in line with them. What's tough is when your opponent's taking these, like, really annoying passes, where your mana is split between trying to, like, get TF down and draw through your deck a bit more, playing your expensive draws, and keeping up mana to deal with important things that they're going to open attack with. Like, against Kaisa, you have to keep up, like, 4-ish mana, even if it's your attack turn, because they're going to put Spell Shield and open attack, and you're going to have a tough time. So, like, it's a lot harder to play when your opponent's playing correctly and forking your mana between drawing, playing Tibalt, and clearing their units.
So, here's the thing with TF Annie, right? There's this TF Annie deck that sometimes you get to queue up with, and you get, like, Conservatory on one, and you get, like, Annie on one, you know, and, like, the Mirai Warden comes through, you know? You get the Flock and the ping spell, you know? Everything's good. Life's good, you know? Draw spells come in when it counts, you know? Raven Bloom pops for 6. Everything's good. We're happy. We're like, wow, this TF Annie deck, it's great. And then there's, like, the other game, where, you know, you mulligan, you know, your hand, it's not it. You're like, all right, it's fine. We get to look at 4 new cards. And you look at 4 new cards, and it's Flock, Disintegrate, Rex. And you're like, all right, man, why am I not playing any other deck in the game?
I think that
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's
I think
That's
it
why I don't
happens
play
a lot
Fanny.
less than you expect. Running,
It's not
No,
that
it does.
bad, right?
It does happen a lot less, but as a player,
yeah.
you
So
will
like you
remember the bad
have
hands
some
more than the
pretty
good
sketchy
ones.
hands,
And
but
it-
the deck also has a really good habit of fixing itself. Because like if you're holding, like if your like opening hand is 3 disintegrates, the odds of you hitting Make It Rain or Dagger or like any activators for that or like TF red card stuff like that, like it's a lot higher. So like it does do a good job of fixing itself, though like sometimes you really do just hit a bunch of combo pieces with no combo.
Yeah.
The deck does some things. It is very well positioned right now, and I think it's definitely a reasonable deck for people to bring or play on ladder or like look at for tournament lineups. I definitely think like, even though I don't believe in the deck and I don't think it's a good deck, it is a reasonable deck, and like my bias should be put aside, and I have no comms recommending it to people, you know.
Yeah.
But
I think it's in a
decks-
great spot.
Other decks that people are
It
very
is.
biased towards that are doing quite well right now are Irelia, Azir, and Kaisa. The Shuriman Desert.
We
has
love those
returned.
play patterns. We
I-
love those
Yay.
play
Honestly,
patterns.
Blade
I'm happy
Dance is
Irelia's
back.
but you guys know that already.
No.
You guys know that already.
Come on.
No, it's weird because so I wasn't playing the game when Irelia Azir was at full power, but I heard things people said, and like they said a lot of bad things. Like they hated that deck, and people are complaining about Kaisa more than they are about Irelia Azir at the moment. So I'm not
Kaisa
sure
just has a higher
exactly what's
play rate.
going on.
Yeah.
Kaisa's annoying.
Kaisa's like almost
Kaisa's
over
crazy.
15%. Like
Yeah, that's true.
I think Irelia
that's insane.
Azir is also way healthier now than it's ever been before. Also, just like not a lot, but like a big reason why it's popping up more now than it did last season, because it did get the Irelia team back then, which was really big for the deck, is Domination, right? Which is a really nice card, helps enable it. But a card like Domination is really similar to like Draklorn and Thralls in the sense where it makes the deck better against its bad matchups and worse against its good matchups, which is just really nice for a lot of decks in this game, which have just always been super polarized. Like Irelia Azir has, with the exception of when it was broken and it could kind of just like beat most things with a good hand, Irelia Azir has always been the deck in the game where it's like if you want to play a slow control deck, you die. If you want to play a fast aggro deck, I'm conceding. But a card like Domination, it's like, okay, well, one of my engines is 2-1 now, so it's a lot more interactable. But this is an insanely like fast engine that will kill you really fast, and aggro doesn't want to interact.
Yeah, the deck gets to play 4 champs now.
So
it has Irelia, Azir, has Deus, and it has Domination, and it just makes it makes the deck so much more consistent, and it's scary. Like they don't even have to run like denial spells anymore, because usually if you kill their Azir, they just get to play another engine right after.
You're cutting field musicians too, because you just don't need the fuel anymore. You have enough stuff that you're drawing naturally anyway.
Yeah. You just play some bounce spells instead of denies, right? Because you only...
I mean, Defiant Dance is on a really good spot right now, but maybe you're talking about Retreat?
Yeah, like you're playing a number of Retreat or Lead and Follow over deny spells most likely. Just because...
I think you're just playing mostly combat tricks. Like, Shapestones are back in, and then you want, like, critical massive 1-drops, I think, at this point, so you can smork people.
It is mostly just combat
I don't
tricks.
know, my list is pretty aggro slanted. I don't have any recalls aside from Defiant Dance and 1 Hoko, which I honestly want to cut for 3rd Shaped or something, or maybe a Lead and Follow. I think cutting Hoko is iffy, though.
I think you need some number of the protection spells, or else you're just gonna like auto-concede all of your flock matchups. And like, you know me, I'm not a player to respect a flock deck in 2022. But at the end of the day, people are playing it on ladder, so you know, like I kind of want some recalls, and I don't want to play deny for a flock deck. And the recall hits really nice against like Heimer Jayce, you know, where they're just like you're randomly getting vengeance every once in a while.
Or Piercing Darkness. Deny 5 healing is pretty solid. Yeah,
that's hot.
Syncopation is another tech card that you can kind of use to fill that role against flock decks that I think is pretty. Synco's not bad. It's not fantastic, but it's not bad. It has its uses.
I feel like it has limited uses outside of combat. You don't have many good syncopation targets that you want to go for.
Just make your 0-mana syncopation. That's what I would do.
I mean, that's the goal, right?
That is unironically the best card in that deck, dude. Whenever Irelia flips, it's so
crazy
hard
take.
to win the game from that spot.
Yeah. No, level 2 Irelia.
Yeah, level 2
like
Irelia is really strong, but it's not
like,
the most.
It's
it is not the best.
It's
card
really
in the deck.
strong.
No, it's not the most important card for the deck, but maybe a better way to put it is it's
That's
the most
true.
annoying card to play against.
I think level 2 Azir.
Oh, it does, but level 2 Irelia is more annoying.
Yeah, but level 2 Azir dies.
Yeah.
Like you can kill level 2 Azir.
He's got 6 health. That's killing
the
him.
thing, so like the thing is like Irelia is so good at making the game end now. If you have like anything else level 4 now, when it's like level 2 Irelia, like I cannot tell you how many games where like I can maybe set up a lethal on the next turn if I live, and my opponent has like their regular attack and then like a Blade Dance unit and then like Flawless Duet, you know, that like both champs on board, and like they do their first blade dance, and they like swap their Irelia in for like a trade, and I'm like, oh my god, I can win the game. It's winnable. But like, if you hold like 2 or 3 blade surges, like the game is over. Like you cannot win. Your entire board is traded down, or you're dying this turn. Like it's over. You're done. Go next.
Also, I found this out a while back. For people that don't know, you can block with stunned units now using blade dance.
Keep it shit.
Elusives too.
So hey, this is important information people should know. This is our job.
This is a bug. This is a bug. 100%.
No, it should be. It should be. It should not be in the game.
I think we've always been.
I think they know about it.
You've always been able to block with stun stuff. I thought.
Hey, if the bug is in the game, I'm gonna use it. So Brian needs to fix it. Otherwise, I'm assuming it's semi-intended. So.
Yeah, you can also do stuff like blocking elusives with non-elusives. As long as you have an elusive unit to swap with, and whatnot. Yeah, that works with Tellstones and the Shen
Stand
spell. What's it
United.
called?
Yeah.
As
Stand
well.
United?
Yeah, it's
Stand United. That's the one.
to like actually explain the whole thing. If you like say you have a board and you have like, I don't know, Bird and Esmus, if they swing in with an elusive unit, you can put Esmus on the board and then use like a Stand United to swap Bird with Esmus, and Bird will get the block on the elusive unit. But if you pull, because like you still have to commit block, if you pull Bird off the stack, you then just, you can't put it back, and you wasted the spell, which is kind of the like, this definitely isn't intended. This is really weird. If it...
Well, better way it's not intended.
Yeah,
it was
so this
different.
changed
It
like
used to be
2-3
different.
patches
Yeah,
ago,
they used
all
to-
units
I
out.
think.
It changed
Yeah.
when we got
Right?
Tellstones.
Yeah.
It changed when we got Tellstones. I know that for a fact because
Yeah,
that's
so
when I
like
found
if
out
it's
about
intended,
the
that's
swap.
fine.
So I
But
was playing
like,
Ari Bard.
it's a really weird, because it's just like
Probably
it's
not.
presented so strangely.
It is.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that broke with like the Cataclysm, Ionaga Kaboros, like all of that. It kind of seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like it's kind of that vein.
All right, we're gonna move on to the other pink deck.
But, yeah.
We gotta talk Yasuo.
The
Oh, good.
Yasuo's
I was like,
dude.
That's also
Yasuo's
I'm
in
running
the
into
meta.
on
Yasuo's a
pages,
deck.
jamming that.
of course. Yo, Yasuo.
You mean
Yasuo's
the
real.
in the meta, I will say the landmark, a very good card.
What,
The
Hash?
deck is 37 beta cards though.
Hash.
Yeah.
It's over 50%.
No,
we gotta
like
take our wins while we
it's
can.
like in the meta, it's beating on it's beating on the like meta kings. Like,
Yeah, but it's
I know,
Windswept Hillock the deck.
but like
Let's be
Yasuo's
real.
in it,
This
guys.
is Windswept Hillock the deck. Yasuo's there, but only because
Bro,
he
you
gets
can't block.
triggered
You
out.
can't, he has quick attack. He's broken.
Yeah, he's a 4/4 with quick attack. I had your opponent thermo
We
beams
just
him
like,
for 6 mana
as long as
every
we don't
single
mention
time,
that
right?
it's secretly a Katarina deck, it's a Yasuo deck. It's fine.
Shh.
It's great.
It's just windswept,
Yeah.
Katarina, Yasuo.
Listen, 90%
No,
of
no,
the
no,
time when I play against that deck, they slam Katarina on 3, they flip her, and she's never played for the rest of the game. I
What?
don't know what you're talking about.
I will. No. Windswept Hillock is
Wait,
a
they
lot.
have
Nobody's
Katarina?
playing Katarina.
You're
Rally.
supposed
I
to.
don't know why.
You don't know how scary it is. Like
Yeah.
Windswept Hillock
I
with
know.
and without
Like it.
level 2 Katarina is a different beast. When they have
Yeah.
Katarina with the Windswept Hillock,
Yeah.
it gets a lot scarier. Like,
It
That
does.
deck-
Yeah,
that is
no,
the
that's-
only
that's
time I'm
definitely
scared of that
true.
deck. I
it's
think the deck
only
is
like a 14 mana combo
Oh, yeah.
to get all the cards, but like if they get it,
That is a 52% win rate.
Listen. On turn 8,
Yeah.
you can rally twice. It's broken.
that's insane.
That is
And
true.
if you play the cat on turn 7 but don't attack with her so she's still on the board, you have 3 attack tokens. Wow, that's 3 stuns, guys.
I like, you guys are memeing, but I actually think Yasuo is going to like remain as like a solid list, unless the like top dogs.
Yeah, I think
I think it'll be like a, it'll be
like
in
the
tier
bottom
2,
of tier 2?
but like I don't think it's going
But
to.
like, here's the thing.
I don't think it's that bad.
Windswept Hillock brought
No,
this
I
deck
think
from
it's-
like tier 3 to tier 2, but this deck has been around. Like, this deck has existed. It's
Alright.
not been a
So the
different
question
deck.
is, when is this going to get the Monte treatment? And it's the strongest deck in the
Please,
entire
no.
format.
No, I'm like quitting for the 2 weeks
One
that
day.
Yasuo is mono Shurima.
Yasuo is unironically like way
Oh, yeah,
more
it's
toxic
horrible.
than Monoshirima.
Yeah.
Like Yasuo
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and Katarina are like borderline two most toxic
Yeah,
cards.
they
in the
also
game.
got the
Yeah.
It's
the
really
4
close.
mana slow double stun that like actually does a lot. Like
It's perfectly in flavor from the league counterparts.
Like,
to the
actually.
most toxic champions.
Yep.
True. They did a really good job of capturing the law flavor, just like they always do.
yeah, capturing perfect lore flavor.
I-
Poor Evelyn.
No, I have said since the start of lore that if Yasuo is ever super meta and like ever a really tier 1 card,
Oh, yeah.
it would just be incredibly toxic because stuns are just like
I think
an
it's
anti-fun
the same
mechanic.
reason. Like
And like like losing units while being stunned is so much even more anti-fun. Like, not only do you not get to do your attack and like the normal thing you're supposed to do during your turn, your unit's dying for it, and it costs them basically nothing because it's so cheap to like do it with that deck. And they have a 5/5 quick attack unit on the board now that's just gonna sit there and be a threat forever and ever.
yeah, I think it's the same reason that they won't let Ashe become like that powerful, because Frostbite's like pretty invalidating to a lot of strategies.
What
Yeah. Riot Games is not
52%
letting Ashe
win rate.
become viable. It's an inside job on Riot Games for sure. They definitely haven't buffed that archetype.
Dude,
or printed
all the
for it
support they
every
print is
patch
so
for, like,
sketch.
a year
No,
now.
they keep doing
Like
this
all
thing.
they just
It's
give
really
Ashe
scary.
quick attack. Come
I
on,
don't
that's
know.
how we fix every champion, right?
You're gonna play Rhyme thing? You're gonna play Rhyme thing attack, are you telling me?
Does Ashe quick attack,
Ashe quick
even
attack would help a
help
lot,
that much?
actually. That like, unironically, that would be a really
Yeah.
strong buff.
Yeah.
Quick attack's a good keyword.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just wondering how good it's gonna make the deck. Yeah, it's probably like the best buff you can give it, I think.
I think so. I think quick attack Ashe is probably the best thing you could do for that deck, but I think that would be like way too much as well.
I missed the first.
I think better for that deck, you make Rhyme Fang Pack actually Frostbite on play. I think that
Well,
would make that would
Wait,
be
real quick,
like,
which one are you talking about? Because Rhyme thing pack is the token.
oh, the one that makes the
Okay.
The Den
Den
Mother.
Mother or
Rhyme
whatever it's
thing,
called.
Den Mother, yeah.
Yeah, I think if that Frostbite on play, that would be like a lot more playable.
Okay.
I thought it did.
I mean, we have the other one with Frostbite on play, but we don't get a 5/5 anymore.
Yeah, that one sucks though.
What if we just made Omen Hawk a 2/1?
That would
Right?
Okay,
That
Can we
would
do that?
Make,
I'm down.
I was
Dude,
gonna
SI
say
has a 2/1 now that's like playable in every
that'd
deck.
make
Everyone
it
gets a-
such a
everyone
good
gets a
one
2.
drop.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah,
make
it's
Omen
more
Hawk
than
3
playable.
units. Or make it 3 units instead of 2.
Yeah,
We all
that's-
think it's 3.
That's
Isn't
the
it
Mandela
always
effect
was
of
three?
war, right? It was nerfed.
Yeah, but unnerf it. It's not broken.
Isn't that just
People
like a
only-
strict improvement on Bird?
Omen Hawk's
Yeah, who
already a
cares?
really good one drop.
Not
Make
I
it
think
a
it was
2/1
higher.
three, but it never.
Yeah, it's
It's in
Freljord,
Freljord.
bro.
It's in Freljord.
Yeah, it's
like,
Freljord.
And also, people don't have their pitchforks out for Bird. People are like, I got birded on 1, guys. The game's over. Like,
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe.
yeah. No,
I'm
give
down for
Freljord some
2/1
cards.
Omen Hawk. Freljord.
Although, did we talk that say that Ashe LeBlanc is rank 1 right
Leblanc's a
now?
pretty solid.
Have we gotten to that?
like?
We didn't talk about that.
Yeah,
It's a meta call. I don't think
Like,
the deck is
like
it's just
Yetis
low
is,
position.
like-
No, I don't. Yeah.
yeah,
You beat Illaoi, and you beat
but
Kaisa.
like that's kind of it.
That's enough. That's
That's-
literally
it
enough.
loses.
That's
It
pretty
loses
good.
to.
I think that's
Azir Irelia, right? Ashe LeBlanc?
Yeah.
No,
Ashe?
I'm curious. I'm asking.
It depends what version and stuff. So the version that
Oh,
I
you had,
played
like,
beats it
Pokesticks and stuff,
pretty
though.
handily. I was playing like Gnar, and I was playing Trifarian Pits and a few other things.
Sure. Okay.
But like, so my units are just like really chunky, and so they just like block forever. They're just like, your units never push past my guys, and I'm like also like hitting you and rallying you on 5 and 6. The version that is rank 1 right now is a bunch of 1 HP units. So I don't think that list would beat Azir Irelia, but I'm not sure.
makes sense.
You still have like a lot of big dudes, and you can still push damage.
If you can get a good Reckoning off, you might be in a decent position.
He's
but
not
I
running
think that's a
Reckoning.
Big if.
Yeah.
So I'm not running Reckoning. He's not running. Like Reckoning is just not in right now.
I don't think Reckoning would be the Zero Irelia.
No, you're too far behind trying to get that off. But like, there's some situations where you can make it happen, and that's kind of your only hope.
So Calling Strike is huge, right? So you're on 3 Calling Strike,
true,
and so that's
actually,
like
yeah.
swinging the matchups pretty hard. So like you're getting major value from that. So you play Calling Strike, you play 3 of them, you mulligan for that in your list, and then you are like keeping your challengers because you can also like go after their backline threats with your challengers. And then you also just like playing an Avarice and Trapper, which is a 3/3 that gets you a 5/5, and then that just like blocks for a very long time. And so that's like the way you do it is you block a few things, you like turbo flip your Reputation, and you also turbo flip your LeBlanc if you have it, and then you like go to kill them and with like 2 big swings in a rally. You know, like you swing once and then you rally, whether that's with the 5 mana guy, with the 6 mana like 5/5 guy, or with like pits. So I think it's actually like probably favored. But yeah, it's an interesting deck. You're losing to like everything else. You're losing to like any Noxus control. You're losing to like Jayce Heimer. You're losing to like Thralls. You're losing to like a lot. But you are beating a couple of the top dogs in the metagame. And yeah, he won like 10 straight and is currently rank 1. So you gotta give him, props.
Yeah, absolutely. Being rank 1 with Ashe Nox in 2022 is something else.
Yeah, it is really impressive to get rank 1 with the tier 5 deck. I agree.
Tier 5? Say a 6?
In a
Six?
pocket.
It's on the list.
Yeah, but like that's what pocket metas do, right? When there's like only like 30 people in Masters, right? Like, and you know what people are playing. Like every time in the day has a different feel to it. So.
Yeah, week 1 Masters hits different.
Yeah, and like rank 1 is 240 LP. So like,
Yeah,
Not a
I'm
Masters
struggling
yet?
this time.
I'm
I'm like getting there. I'm like Diamond 2.
I'm not even Diamond yet. It's been over a week.
Hey, I'm almost Diamond.
Look, that's it.
Until you,
Yeah.
you can't say you're beating Bard Illaoi then until you're like
Well, I
beating
am
the
playing
Masters
against
Bard Illaoi
Masters.
player.
I am
no,
Diamond
I can
2.
tell where
so
I
like
am.
yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I'm not. I can tell when I'm playing against them. Like, I'm smurfing. They're doing whatever.
Did we talk about Kaisa? Because I missed the beginning. Okay, so let's go around. How are we nerfing Kaisa? Supercharged
Supercharged
to
4
4
mana.
speed?
I want to preface
just
this
4
by
mana.
saying
It would be nice if they couldn't play it with spell mana.
Supercharged to 4 mana helps. That's for sure.
That's
Putting
all
a
If we're
Voyager
talking
down a
about
single
nerfs,
turn.
we need to keep in mind that the sharp sight bug is gonna get fixed.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that does
Barely.
reduce the power level of the deck.
Like
It does.
barely.
Barely.
I think
barely,
that,
barely.
Yeah, it's a full
It's
turn.
not.
It's a full turn.
But there, like, I've had situations where I've needed sharp sight to flip Kaisa.
yeah,
Yeah.
it happens a lot.
I would
Like,
say
it does
like
happen.
there's probably at least like 10% of games or people go into like winning positions where they probably would not be able to win the game if they didn't use sharp sight bug.
But
at
like,
least 10%.
If not more.
Yeah.
Yeah, if not more.
Like,
The real number might be closer to 20, honestly.
It's definitely a thing that happens. That doesn't mean I don't think the deck should
you
get
don't
touched in some shape
you don't
or form.
necessarily have to nerf
but,
Kaisa
like-
specifically, but something in that deck needs to change. Like Void Abomination is wildly powerful
Yeah.
for an 8-drop. Like you play an 8 mana 7 attack unit with
It's
like
better arsenal.
Scout, Quick Attack, Elusive Challenger, Lifesteal, and it's just like
Fearsome. Yeah, it's got literally every keyword that you could imagine on it. Something in that deck needs to get touched for sure.
I would do the supercharge. Like I really think supercharge to 4 mana would like, because the thing is if we nerf Kaisa too much, like other stuff, you're just gonna go back to Papercraft, and then they're just gonna like play supercharge or Papercraft, and like that deck is like already starting to bubble back up, and it's like abusing it's abusing the supercharge as well. So like I think that card needs to be 4 mana. I don't know why they printed it in the first place, but if it's gonna be in the game, it should be 4 mana.
I can see
and that
an argument for
slows it down.
supercharge being 4 mana. Like it does mess up with the curve that the deck wants to go with on turn 5. So like it's a good nerf. I don't know if we're trying to like kill that
No,
deck
no,
when
no.
we're
I don't
nerfing
want
it,
to.
or
I
we're
actually
trying to make
love
it
the way the
worse?
decks.
Maybe
I love the way
Supercharge
that
kills
deck
it.
plays.
I don't know.
It's just too strong.
Yeah,
I think it's-
Yeah, that's fair.
I want the mid-range ones to be better. Where like you're playing more for evolve and not for like a Kaisa like one-turn kill. Like I want my Kaisa to be powerful, but I don't want it to be like all my eggs are in the Kaisa basket. Like I want to be playing a powerful deck that like when I have Kaisa it's even better. But like I don't want to be like playing Xerxai Hatchling in my Kaisa deck because I have to turn I have to have it flipped on 5, right? Like I don't want that to be the metagame we're in.
No,
Kaisa
that's fair.
OTKs really feels bad, but Kaisa as a champion and like as a deck
Yeah.
building
deck
concept is
building
very
I like
interesting.
really
Kaisa. I
great.
just don't
Yeah.
want. I don't want it to be as oppressive as it is right now. Like because like right now, if they have Kaisa and Supercharge, you need to be killing that Kaisa the turn it comes down, or you just lose. Because they just just double spell
Same thing
shield.
with Valor.
They give it whatever keywords are on the other spell shield unit, and they just go in. And at that point, you can't come back. But yeah, there's
Yeah, no, the deck is definitely good. I'm not sure if it's like tier 0. It's definitely not. Like, it's
No.
definitely
I think
not like
Bard's
the
tier
best
0,
deck in the
but-
format or anything like
But
that.
also
like,
Yeah, but it's also warped the entire metagame, right? Like the reason Illaoi Bard rose up was because it beat it. Like, well, people thought it beat, and then it turns out it was like 50-50. But then they realized Bard Illaoi was like also really good. because
Yeah,
of
I think
Sermon.
there's a few ways you can go about nerfing it. I like nerfing Supercharge because it will hit the decks in the future that inevitably abuse Spell Shield and Overwhelm at focus speed. That's
like
not.
recent auction.
You're still playing Leokshan. It's like that deck is just worse mono Kaisa
God,
right
I wish
now.
Lee was playable.
You can say that about most decks in the
I spent
format.
all of yesterday calling Kaisa worse Lee, so I'm not sure.
But yeah,
those are putting
I
the
like
time
I
on
like
it.
nerfing that. I think making Kaisa's spell not buff everywhere Kaisa's would be fine.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've
Make it
also
slow
seen make
speeds
it
an
slow
option.
speed.
Make Supercharge slow speeds an option. There's like a million ways you could like nerf evolve to one extra keyword, so that way the like OTK turbo level Kaisa deck actually requires like a lot of deck building commitment, as opposed to like right now where they're kind of just
Right.
splashing these like one or two ofs just to like make sure Kaisa slipped on 5. So like if you need that extra keyword and Sharpsight nerf gets fixed, then you can't really do that without really committing to the idea, which I think is fine. Like that's cool if you want to build your whole deck around that. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they'll do because I don't think it won't get touched.
You can also change Kaisa
Yeah.
champs though. Like if Kaisas aren't
Yeah, that's true.
supercharged,
That's true.
the deck has such it's so much of a higher deck building cost.
Yeah,
and
you're
it's
right.
so much harder to do your thing. But I think that one will also depend more on what's the problem. Like if Kaisa herself is just too strong, like no matter what form she's in, then you probably don't nerf her like that. But if the issue is truly just mono Kaisa, then I think that's a good nerf. Because that deck plays 5 to 6 copies of Supercharge, or 4 to 5 copies of Supercharge because they're on 1 to 3 in the main deck plus Kaisa's.
Yeah,
It's
I
just-
really like the
it's
idea
too
of
much.
Kaisa being in a really solid mid-range deck that because it has really interesting deck building concepts and it's pretty fun to play around the evolve. And because you have to plan a lot more than something like a Bard Demacia where you're just kind of slamming units on curve. So I don't want to kill that deck, but it does need to be toned down a bit.
What do you guys
Yeah,
think
I
of
can agree
Void
with
Seeker
that.
being the champion?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I'd love
that's the
that.
only
That'd be
option,
great.
right?
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Like
That'd be really cool.
that's the other.
that might be
Yeah, that's
kind of
that's
annoying
good
in
one.
other ways, right? Because then we're giving. Yeah, I mean I don't hate it. I just think it's that gives
that card's
it gives an
garbage,
answer to
I don't.
so it's fine.
I was just
Yeah,
looking
no, that deck is
through.
garbage one.
It's
That'd
be a
deal-
that'd be a
it's
massive
deal
nerf.
3 to a follower. It's 1 mana, but you're using
Oh,
your
it's
win
only
con
followers?
as
Yeah.
1 mana
Yeah, it's
deal.
only followers.
Yeah, it's a garbage.
Yeah.
card.
Oh, that's
Dude,
what
I thought that card was
I mean-
bad when I first read it, and I didn't realize it only hit followers. And then I found out it only hit followers.
Because I was thinking
It-
it would be good
Yeah.
as a champ spell if it could
True,
hit champion.
but yeah.
yeah. I
Hey,
guess
you
because
can change- you can
hits
buff that
followers.
card
It would
too
be
if
an
you
okay
want.
card if it could hit champions.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
I'm not expecting Kaisa to get touched in the next balance patch though. It's
No
like in a
way.
week, and like it's probably.
I
Gonna
don't
be
think
for
she
last
needs
season.
to. Just because like if the sharp sight bug gets fixed, I think like having some time to sit with that and see how the deck plays out afterwards is like not.
If it gets
unreasonable.
Yeah,
fixed
no, the
next
deck
patch.
definitely
For the
changes
devs.
when the sharp side bug gets
mean,
removed.
It's kind of annoying though.
Will.
That means we'll be seeing the same meta with Kaisa turning things until
That,
season.
yeah, that's just how it'll be.
But
Yeah, it's
that's
the
we're
new
assuming that
expansion.
Kaisa is equally as powerful as she is today, with even after the sharp sight nerf, right? Like I actually think the sharp sight bug fix changes a good deal.
It's gonna
for
do
that
a
deck.
lot. Like, there's so many times where Kaisa is flipping on 5 because of sharp sight bug,
Yeah.
and that is what determines the game.
Do you guys
It's
like
Kaisa's
actually see that?
player.
It
Like, cause that nerf takes you back to the deck building.
Yeah, but that's
process.
good
the
because
thing
that means
Yeah.
they're running
makes the decks
more
worse.
honestly bad cards in their
Exactly,
deck to
yeah,
flip
yeah.
Kaisa.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or-
Yeah,
or
yeah.
fair,
The cost goes up. The cost goes up, which is
I
like.
still
what we're
think
looking
that
for.
even if you're saying like 10 to 20% of the time that's going to delay Kaisa by a turn, I think the deck's still strong enough that it's not going to take nearly as big of a hit.
Yeah,
I
don't
would say it's more than 10 to 20% of the time, but I think you're right. The deck is still strong enough that it's operable afterwards. I just don't. think
It'll
that
probably
is
end up
the
in the like
menace it is now.
Sivir
Because like
Kaisa camp where it's like a little more mid-rangey, a little more grindy.
yeah,
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Do you think there's a case to make for Sivir
I
Kaisa
do think
being the
Sivir
better
Kaisa is the best
right now?
version right now. I think it's the most consistent.
Yeah,
interesting.
it's definitely the most consistent. Yeah.
Wait,
That's-
how
that's
is it
true.
more
I think
consistent than
because-
mono? Why?
Well,
Yeah.
it just doesn't have to play for Kaisa.
That's all.
Which is like
Okay.
the whole point.
Because I think of consistency. I think of it as like I have a game plan and I can always do game plan. So like mono Viego is consistent because you're always gonna have Viego. You're always gonna like have a couple like early game units. You have predicts, right? Like I know exactly how mono Viego is gonna play, and like if my opponent high rolls or low rolls, then like that obviously affects the match. But like my Viego games are like pretty like standard power level. Like I know what I'm expecting going into a Viego game, and I think like mono Kaisa is like consistent in the sense of like with the right of calling.
Yeah,
and
I get
Kaisa.
I
The
get
combo
what
is
I'm
very
talking
consistent.
more is
Right,
that like
right.
Combo is very consistent.
as opposed to like the way Mono Kaisa plays similarly to like an Akshan Renekton, where like if they can answer your
Yeah.
game plan, then you don't really have another follow up. The Kaisa Sivir deck has like
Right.
more options, I guess is like what I mean. So not necessarily like more consistent, but more flexible
Mhm.
would be
Yeah,
a better
yeah.
way to put it.
Yeah,
I
right.
got
Like instead of running this tutor, which is it's really good because you're hitting your Kaisa, which is really good when you're saying like I'm winning the game through Kaisa. You're running just like more copies of more threats, right? So just right off the rip, our deck has more value. Our deck has more threats, even if they're not quite as potent. And then the deck is built a little bit differently from there to just really play this mid-range game plan more. Like
Yeah.
there's spots like playing against the decks against mono Kaisa. If I remove like Kaisa 1 and Kaisa 2, I'm like, okay, if they don't draw a bomb, this game's over. If I'm
Right.
playing against Sivir Kaisa and I do
It's
that,
terrible.
I'm like, okay, I'm probably winning this game, but like they have a bunch more threats and their deck is just it
Right.
does more things without that Kaisa on the board.
No, I think
Sivir Flip
Yeah,
is still a
they're
very good
all
way to win the
very
game.
good decks.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I think the frustrating thing is, I think, for me, like, I'll play against a deck, and I'll answer the Kaisa, I'll answer the second Kaisa, I'll like trade the Sivir, and I'm like, great, and then they like hit one Abomination, I'm like, oh my gosh, and I manage to deal with it, scrap it out, like the rest of their board is like all really crappy, and then they play another one, and I'm just like, I can't do this. Like I like that with like your Sivir, like 2 Kaisas, like, and you have 2 of these, like. Also, you got to like play a perfect early game curve and take note. Like, I can't burn you out. Like, come on. Like, that's where I think it gets me. Is Abomination is just like, I don't know. Maybe that should be 9 mana.
Actually,
Right?
Abomination
Yeah, is
at 9
Abomination,
mana
like a
might be
problematic
where to
card?
go.
I think it is.
Right?
I think Abomination is a problematic card, but the fact that it's problematic is being overshadowed by the fact
Yeah.
that Kaisa's killing you on 5 a lot of games.
Right.
No, that's
Because
very
like I
fair.
know
That's
my
very
biggest frustration points with the game with Kaisa right now is when I'm about to win, and then they have exactly Sharp Sight to flip her, or like exactly Radiant Guardian to heal and stabilize and go back to full HP. And like obviously I should be playing around the Radiant Guardians at this point. Like Kaisa's been in the game for a week plus now. I should be playing around that. But it's that exact evolution kill you on turn 5 or turn 6 with the token that is so frustrating about Kaisa. The games that you get past that and then they get to A-bomb, or they don't hit the Kaisa and then they get to A-bomb, that's the next point of frustration, because you're like, fuck do I do now?
Yeah.
I grinded through 2 Radiant Guardians, they didn't have a Kaisa, like, I'm about to get them, and now they have this fucking 8-drop, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, it's just like you spend so much dealing with the Kaisa, and like there's some games where they attack on odds, right? And it's like, okay, 5, you have to kill the Kaisa, and then like you
7,
really should have killed the Valor the turn before, and if you didn't, Kaisa's coming down on 7 with like Spell Shield Scout, so it's like they're demanding more resources on 7, and it's like, okay, maybe you can do that, and like you can answer the Kaisa, and then like you didn't kill them on 8. And sometimes, like, you have to open attack, because it's like, if they have A-bomb, like, good luck, buddy. So you have to try and kill them on the open. But, like, sometimes it goes to 8. But, like, if they have that A-bomb, after you've, like, been taxed to answer 1 Kaisa immediately, and then, like, 2nd Kaisa, generally having a spell shield, it's, like, the A-bomb with the spell shield and, like, the scout, and everything is just...
It's a very scary
the barrier,
late curve.
it's just
like,
so
it's probably the scariest late curve we've seen.
So,
I can't actually think...
So, like let's think of, like, finishers.
Really, really strong.
So, like, the 9-mana finisher in the game is Ledros. That's, like, the only one.
Ledros is sick.
There's been,
Corina?
Nah.
and, like, Shurina, though, right? But, like, Ledros is sick, does a very powerful thing. And, like, Abomination feels like it's a very similarly powerful thing. And, like, the difference between 8 and 9 is massive, right? Like, I think Abomination to 9 would also...
It might get cut.
Would just make you decide, right? You could have run 3. It might get cut. But that'd be fine.
Saying Abomination and Ledros are similar power level is like you're really doing Ledros a solid on that one. Like,
okay, yeah, Ledros is weaker. But we play Ledros, right? Like, we play Ledros in decks.
Dude,
in the for like 2 years.
Yeah, well, in
the decks you put Ledros in,
Ledros.
he's real solid.
Yeah.
Dude,
like, Ledros Astro is still a finisher. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, when's the last time you've seen Ledros Astro happen?
When's the last time you've seen
I
turn 9 in the game?
I was about to say, I got really fed up with
I don't know.
Azir Irelia, so I was running some, like, Kindred Annie Go Hard garbage with Ledros. And boy, did it win that matchup.
Yeah, but then you just realize, like, Pharaoh is better than
probably.
Ledros on that deck. You just cut Ledros.
Yeah.
Shut up with your logic,
I was
Ash.
having fun. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they end up doing.
Yeah. Me too. We there's like a lot of options for that, for sure. Like, there's a lot of different things that could be done. We talked about a good number of them. We came up with 5 or 6 different changes that are all reasonable, all plausible, all probably not killing the deck entirely. So yeah,
I think there's a lot of good stuff we can do. I just hope they address it and they don't just be like, the win rate's not a problem, guys. Like, don't worry about it. Like, because like that would feel like a slap
not
in
a
the face.
problem. It's like, over 55.
Yeah, I don't like the pure by the numbers. Yeah.
No, it went down a lot because the play rate's so high.
Yeah, the play rate's exorbitant.
AR has it still over 55.
It's ridiculous.
Over the last week.
Yeah, that's because it's over.
Check the last couple days.
Recently.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like, AI's win rate has gone up a lot too recently. I'm pretty sure
a lot
as
of people
well,
dropped
because,
it.
Like, the Kaisa.
Yeah. Are there any decks we didn't really talk about yet? I guess Lulu. We didn't talk about Lulu PnZ at all.
Lulu is good.
That
but
deck
like,
was really good until everyone started playing Bard Illaoi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Bard Illaoi matchup's pretty rough. You really just have to go for some real, like, alright, man. They don't have it. And then I also draw the like last piece of burn I need type lines.
Yeah. It's the they don't have it and then the burn.
Yeah.
And then the TF Annie's not a good matchup for you either. Like,
I think TF Andy's fine.
I think that's a fine matchup.
Really?
It might even
I think
be winning
that's like a free
actually.
matchup.
Really? Okay.
It's not that bad, no.
Yeah, because like
you have so many threats, right? You just keep spamming units, they run out of removal, and then they have to spend 5 mana refilling, and you just spend 5 mana dropping a new board.
It's not even that. It's the fact, like, I'm literally going to play a grind game plan with TF Annie, and I honestly feel like I'm getting there at least half the time, sometimes more than that. Because, like, now my deck has, like, Conch and Pharaohs, which are, like,
Theros is the big one.
fucked up cards. And
And Scrap Heap to find
and Scrap Heap's insane against the Noxus control decks. And, like, the Sneezy being burst speed or focus speed is really huge in these matchups too, because if there's ever a time where you like have to tap out and do that refuel, and I get to get like 4 units down, and I just get to like Sneezy and open, it's
You
so
beat up
hard
Make It
to
Rain
get
and stuff?
units.
That's fair.
TF Annie's bad.
Like,
TF Annie's
it's not a
bad
great
at dealing
matchup,
with
but
wide
it's fine.
boards of cheap units.
You could have just
Aside
stopped
from
it
TF,
bad.
right?
and it
I
would've been
think-
fine.
The deck's doing great
Yeah.
right now.
I think
Player diff.
No, I think it's fine. It's just people shit on the deck a lot.
Yeah.
it's like the same advice as with Bard. You just gotta draw better.
I think Entuck
Straight
said
up.
this before, and I really agree with it. Like, flock decks, and especially this version of TF Annie, they're just really good decks at exploiting your opponent. And I think it kind of lines up with the tournament and ladder like success and story that like TF Annie has painted. Whereas this deck where it shows up an okay amount of tournaments, never does anything, it's always super high play rate, like pretty good win rate on ladder type deck. Like,
Yeah, like
I
earlier
think
in chat,
that's
Cup
just
just
kinda
said it's a
how it
fair
is.
deck, and like that's why it feels like why like your gut instinct is like it's a bad deck, and it's like no, it's a good deck. It's just fair, and like Bard isn't fair, Kaisa isn't fair.
Well, fair decks are bad decks, right?
Thank you,
Like,
Monte.
Yeah.
the whole
I mean,
point of playing
yeah,
constructed
like-
is to take
Okay,
your
no.
deck, is to find the unfair
It's
thing,
fair for
right? Like
7
this
turns,
is
and then it's
constructed.
unfair. The problem is getting to that
That's true.
turn 8
Yeah.
unfairness.
It's unfair, but you also need to proc
I mean
Plunder.
that's not hard in the
Yeah.
deck.
That's actually running
Trade,
no,
and you got
no.
3 cards
No.
left, and one of them is the Rex.
Running Santa's version, I haven't had trouble. Running other versions, it has felt really wonky trying to proc Thunder.
Alright,
Santa's
what's
version
so
has always
different
been
about
good
Santa's
Oh, I'm
version?
just-
I need to
I'm-
check.
Really greedy on removal.
What's so different?
Are you on the pool
It's like-
shark
I
and
I
stuff
cut
too,
I
or-
cut Pool Shark for a
Now,
third.
we're back to
I
the
have not
5
got
draw
Boros.
2s.
Yeah.
We're back to
I'm
5
on
Pot of
5
Greed.
Pot of Greed. I'm on triple the deal 2 ping 1.
Death Stricken. Oh no.
Actually, I'm on like triple
triple death
all
sentence.
of the
Deal 2 ping.
removal.
Oh, that's
Pretty
hand.
much.
Yeah,
but like
I'm looking at the list right now. Yeah.
actually running 3 Blades Edge, 3 Death Sands
Yeah.
makes it a lot easier to proc Riptide Rex. And
I thought all
No.
lists played that much. Am I wrong?
no.
Okay.
There's some bad lists out there. There's some really bad deck lists in
No,
general
but like okay,
running around lately.
even before it being bad, when we were like figuring this out, it's like what was it? Death's Hand was always just really expensive for what we were trying to do with it.
I don't
It's
like
good
that
in
Santa's
this
card. I
deck.
think it's awful. But
Yeah.
You
to
do
play
need
3
3 of it,
instead.
I think. You need 3 of it,
Yeah.
I think. But it has
You just
it's
need
just
the
so
block
expensive,
activators.
and that's why Death's Hand was never on 3 for a lot of the time. Blade's Edge was on 3 from
People
the
were
beginning, I
messing with
believe.
like 2, but it
I
was
think people are pretty quick
Yeah.
to say, run Blade's Edge because you have Disintegrate. It's a 3 mana kill everything, I think. So. Yeah, Death's
Also,
Hand's
like, once you play a Tibble, Blades Edge
hey,
is
once you play a
a
Tibble,
respectable
Death's Hand's a
card.
good
All of a
card.
sudden, we have a magic card in our deck.
Yeah.
Tibble's a
It's
good
almost
card.
like Tibok is a good card. Almost.
Almost.
Tibok's a good. You have to get to it. but
Tibble?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tibble.
Tibbok's a good card. Ravenbloom is
Best landmark
is
that's
maybe
ever
just
been
a
printed.
little bit slow. To be.
I don't think
It's the
so. I think
best
it is a really
design
good.
I'm not
landmark.
saying it's a
Best
bad
design card ever.
I just think going back to this point about constructed cards having to be broken. I don't think that Ravenbloom is actually broken enough, which is why we see all these other Ravenbloom decks have fallen off completely, and we just have Anti-TF left, which has this very classic story of doesn't perform.
I
in
would
tournaments
argue the
before.
reason Anti-TF is left is because
Yeah.
Ravenbloom is so broken.
Actually,
Yes.
Yep.
Where are all the other Ravenbloom decks then, though?
That's what
ATF
I'm
is like-
saying. Like, imagine Flock in 2022. And,
So-
and
so
you
the thing with-
cannot unless Tibble exists.
So,
So-
other Ravenbloom decks don't have Make It Rain. And
Or
that's a
draw.
really
Draw
big
is
deal.
also
Or-
important.
Well,
by the
yes.
way.
So it's
Card draw.
TF. It's
The Bandle one has draw.
yes.
The Bandle one, you can play the exact same number of draw cards in the Bandle version.
But
if
you
wanted
don't
to.
have AoE. And you can suffer
That's-
from that.
TF,
You need
and
TF
the other
for
thing
card
is-
and Make It Rain.
So you can play other Noxus Conservatory decks, but they all need Annie, really. Like a lot of them need Annie, right? Like Annie's a big payoff in that kind of deck, and so you just have to play the best one, right? It's like, why can't you bring 3 Kaisa decks to a tournament? Well, it's like because it's
No,
you
but
know.
We're not talking about tournaments here.
Right, okay,
We're
that's
just
fair, that's
talking
fair.
about like ladder. People play all sorts of shit on ladder.
That's
right?
true.
Like,
That's true.
You
I
can
mean-
you can have 5 different Demacia decks, and one could be objectively the best Demacia deck.
Like-
People are gonna play whichever one they feel
That's
like
we
playing,
can, we
right?
can talk about like the catalog Ravenbloom. I think the problem with that deck is, so first of all, to get like the
That one's
engine
weird.
going, you need to draw both your landmarks, but only one of each, because then your hand breaks. You do have AoE with Withering Wail, which is definitely better than what Bilgewater has in AoE, but you don't have the draw engine. You have Glimpse, and that's about it.
That's true. That makes sense. The SI version does suffer
So, yeah.
from lacking the draw engine.
Rank 1 EU is 65% with the catalog deck and 180.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
It's putting up good numbers over there.
Shampoo
That's-
built right now.
He's 700 LP, by the way.
Yeah, I don't get the EU. I don't get the
What
EU
a
ladder. I feel
grind.
like there's just a bunch of people like goofing around or what.
What was it that, like, EU Ladder was shitting on Papercraft, and then, like, they topped more Papercraft players than us?
Yeah,
They do that on purpose. You know that, right? They do it to throw everybody off about what they're bringing.
I also
They do it. It happens every season.
EU
every
ladder is,
season
like,
they go,
weird.
NA's looking at this. NA's so bad for considering
it's
this.
just super
And then they
inflated,
bring
and
it.
I don't know why. Like, the ladder in EU is super inflated, and I have no idea why.
Yep.
No, absolutely no idea.
Okay, good. I'm not the. I think EU ladder is like. I don't know if it's just like easy over there or what, or if like NA just has like more like really good players because it's like hard to ladder in NA. Like
Hey,
I
we
don't
all
think
know,
it's
like,
maybe
easy
they're
to
just
ladder in
crap.
EU
It's a
either,
grind.
but-
I
Maybe
don't
they
think
hit
this is a
700 LP
distinct
because they're just the
difference.
best player in the world.
I think here's the thing.
No, I play those EU guys and they come over to NA and I just farm them all day. Like it's
Oh,
like I'd
no.
rather play any of those guys than play Hanzo or
Oh,
Kev
no.
or any
We
of those
can't-
people.
We can't
Like
start,
MTux,
we
like
can't
no,
start
no.
an EU versus
Yeah.
NA war. We're not doing this.
This conversation. Oh,
Sorry, it's just the truth. You know, I just tell it like it is, guys. I'm sorry. I watched the other seasonal championships, and I'm just seeing misplays from all the seasonal champions, and I'm just like, what's going on here, guys? Like, come on. Like, that's
Didn't
part of the
you-
reason.
Wait, hold on. Didn't you win seasonals off of your
Yeah.
opponents misplaying every round?
Yeah.
No.
So what's the problem with you?
No, did they misplay every round? I didn't notice.
Bro,
I think I just.
You cannot say this when we talked about we both talked about how we knew you won the Sundisk Mirror turn 1 because your opponent played Ancient Prep. Do not act like
Yeah.
your opponent
Yes.
does not misplay all the time.
Yes, but that's not like as much of a misplay as it is of like
Oh my
not knowing a
God.
matchup. Like I see genuine misplays where it's like everything is on the board, you can see cards face up, and you're messing up. Like that's a difference between like matchup knowledge
I'm
and
gonna
like
be honest,
misplays are very
I
different.
Just like Prodigy's never had a bad take, so I'm inclined to believe the EU shit.
EMEA,
Just come
the
over
inferior
here,
region, confirmed. You heard it here first, guys. Oh boy. Jokes aside, I honestly think there's not a huge difference between the two regions. I think at the highest level, players are very, very comparable. Or between the three regions, I would say. Not just two regions, because APAC also a very, very strong region at the top. You want to talk about funny ladders, though? We could talk about APAC ladder. That ladder's a gong show. I've heard people can climb up. You can go from 0 to rank 1 in like a play session.
Well, their ladder like they're like rank 1's like 300 LP or something for like at the end of the season. Like
They just don't have as many people, right?
That's also part of it.
I
That's
think
fine.
it's
They have
probably
less
one of the
people,
biggest
yeah.
determiners.
Okay. Well, we are coming up on hour 10 now. Unless you guys have anything else you want to touch on today, I think I'm all chatted out. I got a lineup article to go write still. So I think it's about time to wrap it up. Thank you to everybody who came out to watch us live today, and to all of you watching on YouTube. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks, Greg. Shout out to Greg for reminding me several times to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, shout out to Hash for joining us today, and we hope to see you guys back again
thanks
next
for
week.
having
Any parting tips for our viewers before we peace out for good?
There's a tournament August 6th?
There is a tournament August 6th.
Bring Yasuo.
Members?
Yeah.
Yeah, bring Yasuo.
There's,
Yes, bounties.
There's a
And
bounty out
darkness.
for you, Monte, I believe.
Yeah, I think there's a bounty out for all of us, guys.
Yeah.
I think we all have.
I won't be able to play, unfortunately.
I think all of us playing have bounties.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll catch you next week. Bye.